Can you believe it's time for our next installment of my million seasons of Oh, here comes Robert. Sweet Boy was bringing me apples and cheese, a snack brought to you by Elaine Adams Taylor Brantley. Taylor Adams, eat, E-A-T. Elaine Adams Taylor Brantley, who used to eat this when we would play cards, and when I go visit her, we still do this. We get apples and cheese, extra sharp cheddar. She does Red Delicious, I do Pink Lady or Gala. Preferably Gala, they're sweet and crunchy. Pink Lady's a little too tart for me, and I do not do green apples because gross. Unless I'm making an apple pie. Feels like you need the green apples for that. So this is what Robert brought me because he's an angel. So where was I? Dun, 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 dun. Our next installment. Again, they're out of order, and I'm so sorry. This one is from our Naples trip, which I'm pretty sure was in like maybe April, perhaps May, maybe even earlier. I don't recall. It was a long weekend trip because I had like a Thursday and a Monday off of work or something. And we did a Wizz Air flight. It was our first Wizz Air flight. And so we packed really light. We had like a bag each. And so I'm wearing like the same outfit in every single picture because that's all I had. I had like 2 outfits the whole time. Like a long skirt and a cute shirt. And then like an athletic skirt and a blue top. And so we went to Naples. It was one of our cheap flights. The whole round trip for both of us was $25. That was it. Like US dollars. And then we stayed in an Airbnb, so the whole trip, like the entirety, every excursion, everything was like under $100. It was lovely. 10 out of 10 would suggest. The Wizz Air flight was a bit sketchy, you know, kind of like sitting in like an Adirondack chair that's like bungee corded to the ground. That's what it felt like. Very uncomfortable. But I learned that I like caprices, not Capri Suns, which are delicious, unless it's the kiwi kind. Like they're like in the tube and they're hazelnut chocolate in the middle, like a Nutella in the middle, and then it's like surrounded by like a crunchy chocolatey wafer. Chef's kiss, delish. So we went to Naples, flew in at night. Our Airbnb was like Sketch Magoo Central, like the location. The guy was even like, "Don't come here at night." Like our taxi driver was like, "Don't get out of this car. Like don't get out." And we were like, "No, our Airbnb is," and he's like, "Do not leave until the person comes to you." And the guy was like, "Hi," and he knew our names. So we like went with them. It was a really nice Airbnb. It was just in kind of like not the best part of town. And we decided, this is great, this is great, this is great. So we hit the ground running. The next morning we got up, we went to brunch. I tried to do the vlog while I was there to make it easy on myself, and then I forgot. So it's like in pieces in vlogs. Overarchingly, we struck out with a bunch of different activities on day one. And then we decided to go to the museum because it started to rain. So we like raced into the museum. And we stayed there for ages because there's so much stuff. I mean, it's Naples, right? Like so much stuff on the coast. And it was spectacular. And then we saw, maybe we were in a museum or we saw it somewhere where it said you can scuba and snorkel in an underwater Roman city. And we were like, yes, please. Oh, thank you. So we did that. We had to go north of Naples to this little town, Bria, maybe? I don't know how to say it. You can look it up. And we snorkeled, freezing cold. So cold. Like, she was like, "Do you want a wetsuit?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "You probably do." I said, "I really don't want to put a wet wetsuit on. Like, it will ruin my day." And she was like, "You pretty much have to." So I did, thank God, because it was, I had like the cap on, like a seal. Like if there were sharks, they would have been like, "Ah, yes, a delicious seal with too many legs." And I was like this the whole time. I was like, "Okay, can we get in the boat? Can we get?" I mean, it was really cool, but really cold. And it's what inspired Robert to want to go, like to even more to want to go scuba diving, because the scuba divers got to go down and like apparently there was this geological event that happened. I'm sure my Uncle Duke can probably explain it better than I can. I'm pretty sure I'm going to butcher it. But if you don't know my Uncle Duke, he's a geologist. I think. Pretty confident he's a geologist. So apparently, like land was like this, and then like however many years ago, 100 years ago, it was several hundred years ago, it was like boop, and it just like kerplunked. Like it wasn't an earthquake or anything. It just one sunk and one went up. And the same thing happened like 60-ish years ago, and like it happened again. So like everybody, it was like this, right? Because it had already kerplunked, and then all of a sudden it was like kerplunk more, and people like woke up on top of a hill when before they'd been like just a little bit. It was wild. Like you could see it in the like homes were built. And you're like, why would they build a home so close to the edge? It's like, oh, they didn't. It was like on the ground, and then it was like up high. So there's this whole Roman village underwater. And like, it's not fully structured or anything, but there's still columns and statues and mosaics on the floor. And like, you can see stairs, like stone stairs. So we snorkeled while the scuba divers went, and the scuba divers got to go and uncover the mosaics. really cool. Worth Googling because it's like full statues underwater. It's really nice. It's very fascinating. And they've done a good job of like maintaining it and making sure that it's not obviously degraded and stuff. But it was beautiful. Excuse me. Wow. It was beautiful. Cold but beautiful. And then we stayed on the beach for just like a second. Nothing crazy. And then we went back. It was just a quick little train ride. Love a good train. We were on the way back. Or no. Then the next day we went to Pompeii and Herculaneum. For those of you who don't know of the disaster in 79 AD, it was on August 24th. Like I said, 79 BCE AD, whatever. Or no, CE AD, whatever you want to call it. Modern times. And the volcano Mount Vesuvius erupted and destroyed everything on its like Mediterranean side of it. Obviously, like here's the volcano and there's cities on all sides. It went this way towards the sea. Because Pompeii and Herculaneum both used to be seaside towns. They're sister seaside towns. Say that 3 times fast. And after the volcanic eruption, they were no longer seaside. It changed the geography of the land, or topography. I don't know. Again, ask Uncle Duke. So I am like, if you can be obsessed with a natural disaster, this is the one. I love the Mount Vesuvius eruption. I think it is so fascinating because they lost the cities. They were gone. Like, they were just gone. But Herculaneum and Pompeii were different because Pompeii was covered, like, they had pyroclastic flow come in. But before that, they had a lot of ash. So Pompeii's the famous one, right? The ash filled their lungs, people who were running away, noxious gas. And so they died, and then they were immediately covered by pyroclastic flow after things had caught on fire, whatever. So a lot of them are like this, and like, when they were excavating Pompeii, the team of archaeologists were finding these pockets of air, and they were like, what are these? They're shaped so strange. So they started pouring plaster into the pockets of air. And the pockets of air were bodies, right? That's where the body was. It had decomposed and had left a shape of where it was. So they would fill it with plaster and then chisel away at it. And so in the museums at Pompeii and even in Naples, and some of them travel around, you can see what's called the Pompeii bodies, right? And so it's people's last positions before they were covered with pyroclastic flow, which is like a mixture of mud and volcanic magma, lava, I don't know. Again, ask the geologist. So it came and covered them. So there's people like this, there's children, there's people like huddling together. It's very serious, very grave to see it. It's wild, actually, because it's their last moment. I mean, it's their last moments, like frozen in time forever. It's wild. And they're actually uncovering a lot of things about life back in Pompeii based on this, like, hierarchies. And, I mean, it's a huge archaeological site, and it's still growing, right? Pompeii was a huge city. And the archaeological site is still being processed. Like, they're still uncovering stuff. And so when I went the first time versus when I went the second time with Adam and the girls versus when I went this time, like, there was more stuff to see that I had not seen before. Like, it kept growing. Like, when I went with my parents and when I was right out of college, we went in a different way. Like, it was a different entrance. And then when I went with Uncle Adam and the girls, we went in the same way Robert and I went in, but there wasn't a museum yet. Like, so it was just really cool to see how they're like keeping to developing, and they're making sure everything, it's so cool. And the streets, it's pretty much everything is pristine, right? Because it was just covered up and then never touched. That's Pompeii. Super cool. Then we went to Herculaneum. Herculaneum is the sister city. Instead of getting hit with a noxious gas, they were hit with a gust of heat. It was like a giant heat wave just came and eviscerated all people. So where they stood. So Herculaneum, the people of Herculaneum saw it was starting to erupt, and they all fled to the sea and hid in like these docks from the stuff falling down so that they could get out into the boats, right? And then the heat wave came, and immediately following the heat wave was a huge wave of pyroclastic flow. And this flow sealed everything immediately. So eviscerated muscle, fat, tissue, whatever, left bones, and then immediately was covered up. No oxygen could get in. So nothing could oxidize, nothing could rust, nothing could decompose. Which means in Herculaneum, we are still, like, they have uncovered the city, and the roofs, like the thatched roofing is still intact. The baskets, the bread that they ate is still intact. The beams in the house, right? Like the wooden beams of a house, still there. Doors, all this stuff, shoes, clothes, is still preserved in these homes because it was covered and then sealed immediately. It's worth looking into because it is so cool. So cool. And we went there. first, and then you go to Pompeii afterwards. They're sister cities. And so it's really sad because the people of Herculaneum were trying to flee, and so all their bodies are in one spot. I mean, they found like 200 and something bodies in one like dockish area. I mean, it's incredible. As I wish I could have been an archaeologist uncovering it, because it would have been just tragic and so sad and just amazing at the same time to see. Like, I can't even express it. It's amazing. It's amazing. You have to go. If you go, you have to go. So we went and did that, and then that was like a whole day experience. We met some people on the bus, and I was like, are these people our age? Are they children? So finally I was like, I'm sorry, how old are you, sir? Because he's like, feet taller than me. I'm like, how old are you? And he's like, oh, I'm 23. And I was like, oh, you're a child. Good to know. Okay, so wasn't he? He was still in college. It was a senior year. He was like going into his senior year. And I was like, oh, okay, amazing. So, because I'm like, he could be 45, he could be like 7, I don't know. And then when we came back, we went and like walked around. We didn't really have that much time once we got back from Pompeii. We like took a breather, changed, and then there was like this concert going on of these like people, this man who was like so famous. People were like crying to get in, and it was in like one of the famous areas in Naples with all these columns and stuff. So we didn't get to see the columns, but we got to stand outside and listen to it. And I put a video in of him singing. Apparently he's like so famous. People were like crowding just to hear him, even if they didn't have tickets, which is silly to me, but you do you. And then we did a pizza making class. And when my pizza came out, they said, ooh, muy bonita, or whatever they said. They said it looked very good. And I said, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, thank you. So we decided anywhere we go, especially like Naples, like Italy, Croatia, all those places, we like to do, obviously Robert hasn't gone to Croatia yet. We like to do food making classes, like their native dish. It's easy for pizza and it's pasta, but we've really enjoyed both of them that we've done that are food making, because it's just, they get so excited to teach us, and we are so excited to eat it and to make it. So we did that, and then there was some weird parade where they were parading around like a statue of, I'm assuming, the Virgin Mary. I don't know. There's like people dressed as popes, but it was like all morning, the morning we were leaving, like ringing bells, making noise, all that jazz. And that was our trip to Naples. It was so fun. So hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time for one of our other many adventures. Day one of our long weekend trip to Naples. We're headed out for brunch. First stop of the day is this beautiful large castle overlooking the water. There's a dog up there. There's a dog right there. A dog. There's Robert. Okay, so we did not end up going to the castle. It was closed. But we got to walk around the walls, and they are in fact tall. Say hi.
Tall.
We are now tall. We are now headed to the Archaeological Museum and the church that has the Veiled Lady, and my mom's gonna freak out. Entering the ruins of Herculaneum. It's our first stop for the day. Herculaneum was a sister city to Pompeii. She was destroyed though by a pyroclastic flow and a heat wave of 400 degrees Celsius that burned everyone instantly. But she's more well preserved because pyroclastic flow came in and hardened. So they have like structures, they have like the roofs, like wood, wicker baskets, clothing, all that stuff, because it is impossible for it to like decompose or like rot because there was no oxygen that could get through the pyroclastic flow in the mud. So super cool. This is my first time, this is Robert's first time seeing like full-blown ruins. Very excited for him to see Pompeii. So yeah, here we are. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, we finished Herculaneum. Quite sad, lots of people died. And now we're headed to Pompeii. We're gonna grab some lunch in the great city of. Currently walking through the city of Ercole, modern Herculaneum. So, what was your favorite part, Robert? Hello?
The altar mosaic.
I have no idea what he's talking about. All right, we'll check in later. Okay, we're in Pompeii. Dun, dun, dun. We're very excited. Here's the entrance. It's my third time. Robert's first. We're very excited. Here we are in Pompeii, looking at this beautifully preserved fresco. And Robert says, wow, it looks really Roman. Duh. We're in frickin' Italy. So fluffy. Look at the little babies. Two babies. Look at the babies. Oh my gosh. Oh look, a dog.